Are you looking for ways to combat booth renter mentality in your staff? Hi, I'm Kaya Swanson, and I'm your host of the Profitable Salon Owner podcast. And if that is you, you have come to the right podcast. I have hanging out with me today, Joanne Peterman. What's up, Joanne? How are you?
Hi, Kayla. I'm good.
Good. I'm so excited. So this is Joanne's first time on the podcast with us. She is a mentor inside of the of our academy. And we were talking before this podcast and just talking about her staff and the policy she's implemented and how her staff functions as a unit. And I was like, that is such a powerful topic. I want to share that with our audience. So before we dive in, Joanne, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you've been in the industry over 40 years, which is such a long time. So tell me a little bit about you.
So yeah, I've been in the industry for 42 years. And I've grown my staff. We have like 17 people now. I personally, I'm an Ironman triathlete. I have recently been certified in Reiki and in yoga. And wellness is just really something that I've been introduced to and like in personal development, actually through Jason. And I've just found a new light, I guess I want to say, of like where I want to help people and how I can help people grow.
Yeah. And it's been so cool just to be a part of that journey. And Joanne, you've grown so much over the last couple of years, and it's just been cool to be part of and to watch not only has that affected you, but also affected your business and your salon and the relationships in your life, which has been really cool. And I know that you mentioned too, that like being able to grow your salon to 17 people, be $1 million salon, and just have been in the industry for so long. It's been, Joanne, I'm so excited for this conversation for you to share how you built your staff to where they are. So I'm going to share you in, those of you listening, Joanne and I were talking before this, and Joanne was sharing with me about her staff and her team. And we were having a conversation about how often we hear people say that, yeah, my staff just wants to leave early and they want to do their own thing. And they're leaving to be booth renters because they want their own schedule and their flexibility. And they're like, there's that constant complaint that people are having in their salons. And Joanne was sharing that she never has that problem. And I was like, well, what do you mean? That's crazy. I've never heard that before. So Joanne, talk to me a little bit about your staff and how like you haven't had that problem with your staff in terms of their approach to how they work at your salon.
When we first started, 24 years ago, I think it was, we really established that like when you're scheduled, we really want you to be here. Even if you have downtime, during that downtime, there's so many things that people can be doing to like build their career, making phone calls, trying to get people in, checking in with previous guests. We do handwritten letters to all new clients, and so just making sure that all of that stuff is like really done. The other part of that is that like everybody supports everybody else. And so even like as far as cleaning, like people, if they have downtime, they'll be dusting, they'll be helping do laundry and those kinds of things. And the best is like, I really pride that my team, like even at the end of a night, if somebody's running behind, my entire team will stay and wait for that person. They might complain a little bit about, they need to work on their timing, but it's never about like waiting for them, like even past, sometimes it's 8, we close at 8. So sometimes it's even like 8:30, 8:45, and they will all wait for that person.
Wow.
And that just kind of goes back to the code of honor of like really supporting your team. Never leave someone behind. So
yeah. Wow, I love that. And if you were to listen to this, if you've never caught a podcast before, we talk about code of honor a lot. It is a staple and established, something that we teach in the academy, of having an established code of honor, which is an established list of rules, regulations. I don't know how you really want to say it, but basically it's like your team lives by the code of honor. So you're all held to the same standards of how you operate within your salon. We have seen it transform cultures. Some people say it's one of the number one things that has helped their culture is by implementing a code of honor. And the code of honor is just that you come to agreement together. We have a whole book, a whole training on it. And it's especially that. It's like 10 to 12 things that just you guys live by that, like nobody left behind. And we have a code of honor, and we have a leadership code of honor, which is like 6 more, where when you get into leadership, you have more. It's just it's helpful because you know that you're all abiding by the same standards. And if somebody falls short of that, like be on time by being early is one of our code of honors. And so if somebody's late to something, we can code of honor them. We bring them to the code of honor and be like, hey, don't forget, like our code of honor says to be on time, and it just helps. We're all held to that, and we know what our expectations are, and we know what everybody else's expectations are. So if you want any information on the Code of Honor, there's going to be a number in the description. I would love to give you more on that because it is such a huge thing. So if you're new to the podcast or you haven't heard of the Code of Honor, powerful tool. Little side note. And so anyway, so Joanne, you were saying that like, that is crazy that like, I mean, it's not crazy. It's amazing that you have established that. And like you said, you've had this policy since you started your salon. And so in that you have built your business around when you're working, then you are, you have so many things to do. So I know some people are like, well, people complain. They don't want to make the phone calls. They don't want to fold towels. And so what would you say to the people who are saying like, well, my staff doesn't do that. How would I even get my staff to do that?
I think it's really sitting down with your whole team and establishing the why behind it. It's not just about like, I'm trying to like make you stay here. It's more of the, not only like building their clientele, but like the camaraderie of like supporting each other. It just really helps like make that connection with others for the support. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get people kind of plugged in of like, yeah, we're all creating this business together, like, especially, and we hear this a lot too, is where people are out and they're like, well, I'm trying to compete with people wanting to be booth renters. And so you as a commissioned salon owner, you're changing you're getting lenient on your rules or getting lenient on what your staff can and can't do. Cause like, well, I don't want to overbear them, or I don't want to add too much or be too controlling. Otherwise they're going to leave me for booth renter. And first and foremost, I want to point out that if that is a fear, if you're listening to this and that is a fear inside of you, then that fear is running your business, not you being proactive and building a commission salon. Because if people are going to leave you to booth rent, let them leave you to booth rent because they're not wanting to be a part of that game anyway. Being a commission salon, there's a different opportunity there. And I love what you just said, Joanne, about getting your team together and telling them why that you're building a culture as everybody is as a part of a business. Other businesses, if you're scheduled 8 to 5, not to compare 8 to 5 jobs because it's totally different. But if you're scheduled from a certain amount of time, you are expected to be there that whole duration of that time. And in your salon, like you're not trying to be rigid. You're just trying to build a culture inside of your salon where people, they're a part of the whole process. There's more than just doing hair that can be done at your salon and building your clientele and keeping everything clean and supporting each other and helping people finish on time and creating a culture where everybody is in on the same mission and they all have a love for what they do, but they're not just trying to grow themselves, but they're also trying to grow the business because that's where they belong. And Jason always says that people will leave you when they stop seeing a future for themselves. So if people are leaving your salon, and even if it is to go to booth rent, it's because they see an opportunity that they don't see at your salon. Well, then help them see the opportunity within your salon to be a part of a team, to grow with each other, build that code of honor where people know when they come to work, they know what's expected. Because with the absence of rules, people make up their own. And so I love what you were saying in that. So Joanne, what has happened like over the last 25 years that your salon's been open? Like how have you seen, like, what if people come in and they don't abide by those policies? Like, how do you navigate and uphold? Because I know your team has been really great with this, but how do you uphold that policy when you have an influx of different types of people coming into your salon to work?
Yeah. And I mean, we do have, there are random times when people like need some time off. And so we do at the beginning of the year, we do give personal time in hours based on the level that they're at. And they can use that personal time to request off. We do notice that like when people just aren't willing to do some of that, like they're just not a fit for our culture, and that's okay. Like they just need to find a place that fits them. So
yeah. I love that.
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest, together we grow.
And I love because again, like everybody's salon's different. Your area is different. The people who come into your salon's different. And so in you listening to this, those of you listening, thinking about your salon and being like, if that is a big complaint that you were having, that people are leaving to booth rent, or they're not staying to support, or you just are having some pain points in regards to the attitude or the performance or the way that your staff is showing up, I want to invite you to consider that, like, well, what is your policy with your staff? What is your expectations? Have you clearly laid them out? Are there clear expectations for everybody as a whole, that this is an expectation of, if you work here, this is the expectation, and not to throw on rules and make them abide by it. But I want to keep going back to hear us when we say that it's about getting like your buy-in from your team and being like, this is why, like, we can, here's a list of things that you can do if you don't have clients, like calling people or being a part of it. These are lists of responsibilities and roles, and we're all part of it, and creating that culture of like hanging out and being friends. Like, I think one of the most powerful things about our office is that we all are really close. We get our work done, but we also support each other. And if like we're about to head to our destination training coming up in a couple weeks, and if things are getting behind or someone's running behind on a deadline on something, it's all hands on deck, because we want to support. We are all in the mission that our business succeeds. And I know that sometimes without that open transparency conversation with your staff, then people are like, well, I'm not going to build up your business. What is this, an MLM? Like, people have that complaint of like, no, I'm just working here. I just want to do my job and go home and do my own thing. And then you're building a culture of staff who are not plugged in and bought into the business and thriving. And so then they're going to end up leaving anyway, because they don't feel a part of the salon that you're trying to cultivate. So they're not bought into your mission. They don't understand what you want to do. They don't understand why. Like, Joanne, you said earlier that you guys write handwritten letters to your new staff. Like, if you were implementing things like that, then do they know why? Do they know the impact? Do you know how does it, being able to communicate how that would make you feel if you received a letter, things like that. So as you're implementing things, know why you're doing it. Don't just throw a bunch of rules at the wall, hoping that one of them sticks and actually changes something, because people feel that intention. If you're setting rules, setting expectations for your staff, people feel the heart where it's coming from. Jason told me something yesterday, and it's really kind of hit me, is that motivation and manipulation are two parts of the same coin. They're the same thing. It just, the difference is where it's coming from in your heart. So if you're trying to motivate somebody to do something, but it's for your own gain, that's manipulation. If you're trying to motivate something and you know it's best for them and it's going to help them grow, and you have a heart like, I want to build up my team and help you grow in the best version of yourself, and that's where your heart's coming from, then it's motivation. And that is the difference. But it can be very confused, be like, you're manipulating me. Like, no, I just see more of what you're capable of having those 100K stylists and all those things that we come in. Anyway, tangent. I'm down off my soapbox. I just know the power that can come from being intentional and bring your team into the mission. So Joanne, talk to me about that and the culture of your team and how you guys are doing it. How do you set that up for your team? Like, say you have somebody come into your salon, how do you set those expectations in the policy?
We do have like a handbook and a service system procedures manual. So we read through that and just make sure, like, are there any questions? Are you clear on the expectations? So we're really clear on what we expect right from the start. And we know, like, even if somebody agrees like right away, even after a couple of weeks, if it's starting to fall off, conversation needs to happen. And, they may think it's all right for them in the beginning, but after a couple of weeks, like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So, and it's okay. Like I said, it's okay to like release and there's somewhere for them. It's just not here. So.
Man, I love what you just said that there about like, it's okay to bless and release. Like, yeah, like if it doesn't work after a couple of weeks, I think a lot of times too, is people be like, man, they take it personal when people want to leave, or they'd be like, it's so hard to find anyway. Finally hire somebody and they leave in 2 weeks. And like, when you get, again, going back to what I said earlier, when you're running your business by the fear of what could or couldn't happen, then you're letting your fear run your business, and you're not propelling your business, and it's not going to grow very far when you're running it by fear that you're not going to be able to find somebody else, or what if I can't find anybody? What if they do leave? All those things. And if you're afraid of that, then you're holding on to people that could potentially be toxic for your salon, in terms of like toxic for the environment, toxic for the culture, toxic for your guests. Because if people are in your salon working and you're holding on to them because they're top earners, or you're holding on to them because you can't find anybody else, or you don't want to be without a chair, or your schedule's too full. If you're holding on to people and in your gut and in your mind, they're not healthy for your culture, then you're doing your entire salon a disservice, and you're harming your team by holding on to somebody that is a toxic environment. And if you're like, well, I don't have anybody on my team, but there is also something else happening in your team. Like, say your team is arguing, not getting along. There's a lot of drama, things like that. But you're like, I can't pinpoint anybody that I should fire because of that. Then maybe it's you're not connected enough with your team or have that safe space where they can communicate those things to you, and they don't have that environment. So I hope if you're listening to this, like my whole outcome of this is that just looking a little inward and looking at your team and what could be differently. So as you have these complaints in your own self, if you're looking like, hey, like my team's this or that, like I know that it's easy to get on that complaint train and start being like, and keep spiraling down of all these things that are going wrong. And then I want to invite you to be more proactive in that and realize that sometimes it could be a matter of not the right policies in place, not the right, buy-in with your team, not the right, organization of what the expectations are. Do you set clear expectations in the beginning? And not only that, but then do you hold them accountable? So Joanne, tell me about that. I know that, we're versed in the code of honor, but how do you then hold people accountable should anything change, anything come up?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we don't really have people asking, so it's like hard to do that. But I mean, if there would be, it would be, let's have a conversation. But something I forgot about, we recently implemented a 2-hour pass. And so I actually use that as like an incentive for like, if we're doing a promotional something, as something for the team. I've done it at the retreat. We wrapped it in like a saran ball and they get a certificate. So I'm not like so rigid, but there are those times like, hey, I can use my 2-hour pass to come late or leave early kind of thing. And it's being able to like have some things like that extra that there are rewards for, I appreciate, the time that they've spent. So letting them know that.
Yeah. No, I love that too, because it's even like in having the boundaries and the expectations, then you can be able to use that flexibility to be incentives for promotionals or, RTS competition, not competitions, but like when people are trying to, maybe it is competition, but like, having that people know the expectations, and then that is a reward. Be like, hey, you can use a 2-hour pass whenever you want, no questions asked, or maybe there is a question to be asked, but like just being able to have the opportunity, and then they feel benefited by that. So, just because I know people might be asking me like, well, what would I have my staff do, or how do I communicate to do those things? So Joanne, talk to me a little about, I know you mentioned earlier, like, calling your staff handwritten letters. Do you have like a list of things that they can do? How do you inform people of what they can be doing in their free time? Do they just kind of pick up what they do? How do you kind of have like communicate that to make sure people are all like able to do the same things?
Yeah. It is in the handbook and in the service system, like what you can do in downtime. And then I think after just a certain amount of time, and with, I have quite a few people who have been here for some time, just seeing how that works, they just kind of hop on it as well. It just becomes the system of what gets done.
Yeah. Okay. So you just say like, in it. So in setting expectations, people get hired. It's like, these are all the things that people do on their downtime. These are all the other things that are kind of expected of you while you're here. I want to say expected, because again, watching the words that you're saying when you're communicating to people is important. If you're like, this is what's expected of you, it's like, well, people start to get resistant. Like, well, I'm trying to, people want to be independent. People want to build their own success. Which is why people are going to Booth Rent, because they think that's where I can find my success. Us as an academy, we think differently. But people want to be independent and build that success and know that they're going to thrive in the future, or that they have, they want to make more money, things like that. And so even in the languaging of how you're communicating with your team and your people, those words can be trigger words of like, this is my expectation of you, is instead of being like, hey, how can I help you buy that house you want to get? Or you want a new car. What do you need in your life? We talk a lot about knowing your staff and knowing what they're looking for, knowing what success means to them. And again, it's like, I think the bottom line here is realizing that you can have a culture of people who thrive in your business, because you don't want to work to live or live to work. You want to work to live. And so making your place of work a place where it actually contributes to your personal life, because that's the number one important thing. But being able to build a staff that wants to be like, I think that, Joanne, your team's not leaving because they enjoy being there. They enjoy being around each other. They enjoy the process. They enjoy being a part of something. They enjoy, building the success of your salon. And, you might be listening, your little voice is like, yeah, well, that might be her team. That's not my team. Again, I just want to remind you that is within the culture that you set, the expectations, the code of honor. You can get there. It's just in a matter of how you supporting your team. How are you showing up for them as a leader? Do you have 20 staff and you're the only leader, so then they're not getting the support they need because you're trying to run your salon and lead your staff and do all these things? Or you have too much on your plate that you can't give your team the attention that they need in terms of supporting them in their business? So being able to look and seeing big picture instead of being so focused in on like, oh, this is a complaint that they're having, or oh, they're always asking to leave early, or lost another person to booth rent, or whatever that is for you, like looking at the bigger picture and like, okay, well, what does it mean to be a leader of a team? And you know what? One thing that I love mentioning is that sometimes even as an owner of your salon, being a leader is not necessarily a strong suit of yours. It can be. Sometimes like people are more like, or you enjoy the business aspect of it and you enjoy running your salon. But you're like, yeah, man, if I could hire somebody or even raise up somebody in my salon who already has leadership qualities to even come in and support, don't be afraid of somebody else being smarter than you in the room, because you're holding back potential in your salon when you try to do everything yourself. Mm-hmm. And so giving you different perspectives of all the things that you can look at of like, you have somebody on your staff complaining, or people aren't showing up the way that you think they are, or you walk in your salon, you can feel that your culture is a little stale. Looking at those things and be like, man, because honestly, if I could love punch you for a second, is the way to healing the culture in your salon starts with you and taking the intentional steps to look at what's going on, how you're showing up for your team, how they're getting along, what policies do you have in place, how have you communicated, do you have the buy-in with your salon, with your team, and things like that. So Joanne, talk to me a little bit about your experience. I'd love to hear about like in your salon, like what do you see within the culture of your salon so people can get an idea of what it can look like to have with established policies in place, what that can look like.
So like a day in our salon, I guess I want to say.
Yeah, a day in the life.
Yeah. So I mean, we open at 8 when we see our first client, but we have every day. Actually, every shift, we have a team huddle 15 minutes before shift, and they're expected to be here. Just kind of sets the tone for like how people are feeling. Like if mood's kind of low, we bring everybody's mood up. But the thing is like because I've established that like being early kind of thing, like they're here by like 7:30, and if we ever have an educator, they're all shocked because my team's like ready to go 20 minutes before it's supposed to start, and it's like this never happens. So but right from the get-go, like people are, they're doing laundry, they're pitching in, they're supporting, they're getting set up. And it's just, I don't know, it's a good environment, and I love my team. I just love them.
I love it. See, and how many people can say that? Not necessarily like, I love these people, but those people not so much. What I will also say is because I will, like our office in of the academy, like we operate in the same way. We will show up for each other. We will walk each other to our cars. You need something, even our directors, even the higher ups people, like they will, we lint roll our tables at destination trainings. They will, so we say like, that's a lint rolling job. We have this joke of like, that's a lint roller. Be like, I'll be a lint roller. That's fine. Put me wherever, coach. Like we show up and support in any way because we have a goal of that, client first, team second, individual third. That is in our code of honor. That everything and every decision, everything that we do, it's client first. So if a client needs something and we need to support that person, all hands on deck, let's get it done. Let's, let roll a table. Let's, clap people into the room, whatever it needs to be. We have that mentality showing up. And what I will say too is having established that as a culture in our office, when new people come in, they see it, they feel it, and they're like, wow, this staff is different. Because not only do people want to build their success, they also want to build their communities. Mm-hmm. Like my best friends are in my office. And not that I see them a lot outside of work, but they're like, it's that level of connection with the people that I work with, because that is the culture that we've established from the higher ups all the way down to the people who, I don't even know, the whole scale of the people who are in our not salon, office. You know what I'm saying? But it's, you establish that culture. And once you have established that, like instead of hiring new people, work on the people that you have to establish a baseline culture of a culture that the people who already currently work for you can thrive in. And then once you know what that looks like, then you can start hiring people in, and then they will mold into that. They'll be like, oh, I see the expectation here. Oh, I'm the only one who showed up right at 7 or 8 o'clock and everybody was here early. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be early, because they start to see the expectation, and they'll start to be like, they'll want to behave that way because they see the benefit and the thriving culture of your salon staff getting along. And so I also want to speak to the people who are like, well, yeah, this sounds really great. I've tried everything. I've took every class. I've watched every YouTube video, and I still can't get my staff to being along to show up there. And to that, I will say, then maybe there's something that you're not seeing or you can't get to. So ask for help. ask for support in people. One of the number one things that we have in our academy is a community of salon owners. As number one highlight is you have a community of people who come alongside you. Like, this is what I'm doing. You can talk to Joanne and be like, Joanne, yeah, but my staff's doing this. And having a supporting people who can just have an outside perspective and be like, well, have you tried this or maybe this? And they'll come alongside you. And so if you are listening to this, you're like, that sounds great, but that's not, I've tried everything and that's still not working. Then sometimes it is that. Well, then find somebody who can give you an outside perspective of looking specifically at. So if you have something specific that you want support with and you're like, yes, and this is my situation, I want to hear your situation. We'll have a number in the description. You can message us anytime, because our passion is to elevate the world's perception of the spa, barbershop, beauty industry, salon, all those things. And we want to help you in your unique situation, because we know that every salon is different. And you're like, yeah, but my circumstances here and there. We totally get that. So if you want support, and this is still, you can't come to the pinpoint of what might be going on in your culture and your staff, then please reach out. We would love to talk to you. I can even get you connected with Joanne. She would love to talk to you as well. So Joanne, share me a little bit more as we're kind of wrapping up this, of what are some things that people can take away right now of what, like, in their salon, they can start implementing, that they can, like, anything that they can be like, this is how they can start changing their culture?
I think the first thing would be to sit down and really look at, like, what do you need to change? What do you deserve to change? Right. And I'm not gonna lie, like, it's been some time, like, in order to get things established, because I would hear, like, stories like this, right, from other people. And I just wasn't, like, getting what I needed, you know what I mean? Like for the salon. But once I really sat down and, like, really dove into, like, making us, especially, like, with Code of Honor, but really making us, like, a really, really connected team, that's when things started to change. But like you said, like, I had to look at myself first, and, like, what needed to happen within me before I could even start with the other. And so, like, it's interesting now because we have such a great culture. Like, we know if somebody comes in, the new person, right? We know if they fit or not. Like, they can do really great on an interview, but all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this is not working. And we know almost immediately that they're just not a good fit for us. And that's okay. Right. But it really started with me and taking a look at myself and what I wanted for the salon.
Yeah. Man, that's huge. And it's sometimes a hard pill to swallow when it is like, well, maybe it's you. It's hard. It's hard to look inward, especially, like, I'm just trying my hardest. I'm just trying my best. It's only so much I can do. And there's a lot of excuses that we make for ourselves of why we can't look inward and be like, well, I'm doing the best I can. I don't know. And it's okay that you don't know. Give yourself space to realize, yes, you don't know. And that's okay. That's the point. The point is that you don't know. And so being willing to look inward and look to people, or finding support in your own world that knows, and not even just support from, like, your best friend who does have a completely different job, but finding support people who kind of know the environment, know what it's like to own a salon and a business and have multiple, maybe you have 3 locations. You're like, I'm trying to juggle them all, and every location's a different culture. And we get it. There is somebody who can support you in that. And it's just by experience. A lot of times we have people in the podcast, it's like, what has been your biggest pain point in the last 3 years? Like, let's talk through it, because it's the experience of going through something really hard that really helps you grow from it and know, like, this is how to overcome it, because it was really, really hard and I struggled through the mud in it. And now here I am. Yeah. And so I love that.
And I just want to say, like, and honestly, like, working with high performance and all the people in high performance, the support, like, when things come up, there's always somebody I can contact to go help with, like, whatever it might be. So, like, that, I can't remember if it's been 7 years or 8 years, but, like, that was a big changing point as well, like, to really get grounded in some things that I was struggling with. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Joanne, as we kind of wrap up, I would love to know, like, what has the success of your salon look like? Like, how has your salon growth been impacted by having a culture of people that are so close-knit and work so well together?
For us, moving forward, like, I'm actually building a building that we're going to be a salon and wellness center. I just feel that, like, wellness is so important. And, like, my whole team, everybody's, like, on that same journey. Like, they get it. And the connectedness of that, like, people know that there's more. And so, like, I don't know, I always say, yes, this is a business, but like, if we're not here to like help others grow, like, what's the point? So, and I think my whole team feels that, and they get that from each other. So,
yeah. Man, that's so powerful. Joanne, thank you for hanging out with me today and just sharing with about your team and just all the insights that you've had. And just, I hope that as you're listening to this, you take away that it's possible to establish in your salon a culture where people want to be there and they want to show up. And no, it's not an 8 to 5 job in terms of what you think of like corporate, but it is a scheduled time where people show up and they're contributing to the business, not only for you in owning a salon, but also for themselves. They see the value in it and contributing to a higher level. And that brings more clients and brings them more income and brings more people, and seeing the bigger picture of how it benefits them. So thank you so much, Joanne, for hanging out today. I hope you, as you're listening to this, got a lot of value out of this. If you want any support, have any questions, have a situation you'd love to run by us, please text the number in the description. I'd love to talk to you, chat with you, connect you with anybody in the academy who has probably, I can guarantee you, almost any problem that you could possibly throw my way. We have somebody in the academy who has been through or is currently going through the same exact thing. And so if you want any support in that, please reach out in any of the platforms, anywhere you can find us all over the internet. We'd love to talk to you in any capacity. So thank you, Joanne, so much for your time today. I'm so excited. All right, we'll see you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner podcast.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.